Disclaimer: the content provided in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. While we discuss topics related to mental health advice, life wisdom, and alike, the opinions expressed are personal views of the hosts and do not constitute professional, legal, or medical advice. We make no representations or warranties about the accuracy or completeness of the information discussed. Any action you take based on the information in this podcast is strictly at your own risk, and we are not liable for any losses or damages in connection with its use. Additionally, this podcast may contain discussions around addictions, substances, which are intended for adult audiences. We do not endorse any illegal activities. Please consult your local laws before engaging in any actions related to this content. By listening to this podcast, you agree that you are over the age of 18 or the age of majority in your jurisdiction and understand the terms of this disclaimer.
Welcome to the Balancing Forces podcast, where two opposites collide in the best way possible. One brings the fire,
the other keeps it chill.
But together we share life's lessons, hard-earned wisdom,
advice you can actually use.
Whether you need a fresh perspective or just a laugh, we're here to elevate your mind. So buckle up, because things are about to get real and
really funny.
Bonus track 3. People shout loudest when feeling heard least. Jackie came into session saying that her weekend had been a disaster. Her 17-year-old daughter, who was the family emo kid and a bit of an odd duck, had recently taken to smoking grass and was sort of off living her own life. The daughter's individuality and having a life simultaneously pleased and displeased Jackie. For only 2 years prior, the daughter had been in the depths of a miserable relationship and a largely friendless life. Now, Jackie's prayers, and those of the ex, had been answered. The kid had a life, friends, dreams, and was even doing better in school. But now it felt like too much. The kid was gone a bit, worked a lot, and was spending most hours of every day with her new boyfriend. None of that in and of itself was bad or unmanageable. But now, with the daughter's new boyfriend there, was fear that they were smoking too much pot. The mom knew the kid was smoking it previously, but couldn't prove it. Now the child had become so brazen as to come home stoned and deny it to the mother's face. And so the yelling had returned to their home, at least for the weekend. That on top of the daughter's unleashing on her father in a very long, excoriating letter for the first time ever in the week prior. Both mom and dad came to me for counsel at separate times, wondering what the heck to do. Digging deeper, I was able to discern that the real concern was not of the pot smoking, but the new level of rather severe defiance. It's not that the teen was completely pliant prior to that. She wasn't. Or had never yelled. She had. No, with the father's letters in particular, she had taken the ferocity to a new height. As a result, the parental frustration was at a new level as well. Worse, I had shared with them the ugly news, which was guaranteed to bring results, but unlikely to fit into their parenting belief system, which fundamentally hoisted blame for the daughter's behavior in the daughter's lap. I'm sorry, but I'm really not of all belief that 99% of the people's underage, say 30, are doing much of anything that is causa sui or self-generated. They are the product, still at that age, of the primary influences in their lives, largely mom and dad. I don't excuse crummy behavior by the child, but I also know that it's easy for parents to gang up on a kid, and parents generally have all the power in those years. So I gave Jackie the news. People yell because they don't feel heard. People yell because they feel they won't have a voice. Jackie's daughter was raging and unleashing because someone wasn't listening, usually the powers that be. Think about it. If a person feels heard in their normal indoor voice, why would they yell? More importantly, if a person feels their points, logic, passions, and reasons are being listened to and respected by another person, what need would they have to be more adamant, more forceful, and more loud? They wouldn't. I have plenty of clients who have cowered before their parents their entire lives because when they were children, they were taught that they had no voice. Thus, the child believes, my voice doesn't matter. So, now there's all this pent-up rage and really destructive core beliefs in adulthood. People yell. People hammer home points. People get emotionally upset when conveying points because they feel they're not being heard by normal conversation and their form of methods for making points. Not welcome news for Jackie or the father, for it meant, in other words, the kid ain't the problem. Jackie is her own problem, to a very large degree in this case, as is the daughter's father who received the emotionally charged letters. Sadly, the father saw fit to take the daughter out for a walk and tell her how her anger and frustration only exist because she misunderstood him. In other words, implicit in his words on that walk was the message that she was at fault. She had screwed up. Her feelings had no merit. This, of course, was an obvious indicator that he still was not hearing her. In his mind, the problem was the daughter, not him. On the walk, the kid swallowed it, suppressed her truth. Once again, the father failed to hear her and accept her. Once again, the father failed to hear her and accept responsibility for her unhappiness. When I heard about the father's misstep with his daughter, I was reminded of the words of my mother when I was 13 or 14. She began teaching me how to counsel people. Kids want to be heard, not fixed. And it's generally true of adults as well. But when you've been fixing your kid for 15 years, it gets hard to relinquish the fixing and the control that comes with it. To listen, absent of intent to influence. That is, to begin to honor the autonomy of the individual child, that is. To be perfectly honest, not yours to control, requires deliberateness and letting go. It requires changing yourself, not your child, whom you could always bend in the past to meet your own needs and values. Any parent who has a teen or post-teen kid knows how incredibly difficult that is. Jackie, the mom, was a bit more open to hearing that the only hope for lasting positive change in the daughter demanded a change in the mother. She knew she needed to hear the child, or at least truly listen, stop rebutting, stop trying to defend herself, stop trying to change the child, stop trying to ram her will down the child's throat, and again, just close her yapper and listen. Hear the kid, really hear her. She knew she could then convey to the child that she still may not get everything she wanted, and the kid knows this. There is something powerful about being heard that will often cause the child to relinquish the immediate need and have whatever it is right now. Or maybe you will choose to give them whatever it is they're shouting for. But the far greater gift you give them is the experience of feeling heard and knowing their own voice is respected. It conveys to the child, you really matter. Listening diffuses anger, diffuses anxiety, and enables the other to remove the clouds of fear and high emotion that are making her unable to hear her own inner voice and confidently act on it. Until you can treat that child's voice and that child's viewpoint as valid and as the necessary lighthouse beacon orientating her own life, neither she nor you will be happy with them and their choices. And what's true for Jackie in her relationship with her daughter is not true for you in your own life. The anger you have been suppressing towards your own father or mother, grandpa or aunt, and attempting to deny the existence of, because you still so fear your parent in one way or another, and thus fear standing up to him or her, is the very truth that must be given voice. You may not be able or willing to speak that truth to the parent in real life, but the truth must be spoken, even if only in a letter that you never send. Truth is, you won't be free of the fear of the parent, free of the yoke of the oppression of the parent, free to be who you really are until you consider your voice important enough to be heard, until you finally yell to the heavens what your soul longs to yell. Whether that yelling involves an actual raising of the volume of your voice is irrelevant. The point is that you're finally raising your own true voice up from the dead, up from the inside of your soul, up from being hidden, demanding it to be heard or not heard, mostly demanding it to be spoken. For it is not about anyone else hearing you anymore. It is about you hearing you. It is about you finally proclaiming to the world that your voice matters, i.e., that you matter. The revolution in your life really has nothing to do with the parent anymore. You have to change your perception of the importance of your voice and life. Until that changes, nothing changes. Until your voice and your truth matter to you, and until you make life decisions consistent with that truth, nothing matters. Everything else is just fake and ultimately pointless. Make no mistake, though, your soul is yelling to you, demanding to finally be heard. So it boils down to a few questions. Are you listening to your soul's voice? Has your pain gotten bad enough that you're finally motivated to do so? Are you ready to finally let your soul shout to the heavens the importance of your existence? Journaling recommendations. 1. What is your soul longing to shout? What is it longing to say? 2. Whose voice are you trying to be heard over? Who has most stifled your voice? 3. In one sentence or less, what is the one message most being spoken to you that negates what you've been trying to say or your soul has longing to say? 4. Do you live with a clean heart? That is, what is it in your life that is still unspoken, and to whom have you not spoken your fullest truth? 5. What would it take for you to finally have the courage to speak your truths, so that your heart might finally be clean and light? Do you have the courage to do so, even knowing the price might be high? Song recommendation. Here's a very well put statement by an 80s fun group. Tears or fears. It's quite fitting for this work in clearing the heart of all that weighs it down. The song is Shout. Give it a listen.
How awesome is this? This is going to be the book we're going to be giving away. It is an autographed copy as well. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Share this out with your friends. At the end of the series, there will be a giveaway for a copy of your own book. Thank you.